Chapter 6. Off to Montana. At the end of the summer, the cob gathered his family around him and made an announcement. "Children," he began, "I have news for you. Summer is drawing to a close. The leaves are turning red and pink and pale yellow, and soon the leaves will fall from the trees. The time has come for us to leave this pond. The time has come for us to go." "Go!" cried all the cygnets except Lewis. "Go? Certainly," their father replied. "You children are old enough to learn the facts of life, and the principal fact of our life right now is that we can't stay in this marvelous location much longer." "Why not?" cried all the cygnets except Lewis. "Because summer is over," said the cob, "and it's the way the swans leave their nesting site in the summer's end and travel south to a milder place where the food supply is good. I know all of you are fond of this pretty pond and its marvelous marsh and those reedy shores and restful retreats. You have found life pleasant and amusing here. You learned how to dive and swim underwater, and you've enjoyed daily recreational trips when we formed up in lines, myself in the front, swimming gracefully like a locomotive, and the rest of the train behind me with your charming mother bringing up the rear like a caboose. Day long you have listened and learned, and you have avoided the otter and the cruel coyote and the fox, and you have listened to the little owl in the tree that says cuckoo, 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 and you have heard the partridge say quack, 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 quack. At night you have dropped off to sleep to the sound of the frogs, ribbit, ribbit, the voices of the night. But these pleasures, these pastimes and adventures and games and frolics and beloved sights and sound must come to an end. Things must come to an end. It's time for us to go." "Where will we go?" cried all the cygnets except Lewis. "Where will we go, Coco? Where will we go?" "We will fly south to Montana," replied the cob. "What is Montana?" asked all the cygnets except Lewis. "What is Montana banana, Montana banana?" "Montana," said their father, "is a state in the United States, and there in a lovely valley surrounded by high mountains are the Red Rocks Lakes, which nature has designed especially for swans. In these lakes you will enjoy warm water arising from hidden springs. Here the ice never forms, no matter how cold are the nights. In the Red Rocks Lakes you will find other trumpeter swans, as well as other birds, geese and ducks. There are very few enemies, plenty of muskrat houses to build your nest in, free grain, games every day. What more can a swan ask in the long, long cold of the winter?" Lewis listened to all this in amazement. He wanted to ask his father how they would learn how to fly and how they would ever find Montana once they did learn how to fly. He began to worry about getting lost, but he wasn't able to ask any questions. He just had to listen. One of his brothers spoke up. "Father, you said we would fly south. I don't know how to fly. I've never been up in the air." "True," replied the cob, "but flying is largely a matter of having the right attitude, and I guess altitude. Plus, of course, good wing feathers. Flying consists of three parts. First, the takeoff, in which there's a lot of fuss and commotion, a lot of splashing and rapid beating of the wings. Second, the ascent or gaining of altitude. This requires hard work and fast wing action. Third, the leveling off, the steady, elevated flight high in the air, wings beating slower now, beating strongly and regularly, carrying us swiftly and surely from place to place as we cry, "Cuckoo, cuckoo," with all the earth stretched out far below us. "It sounds very nice," said the cygnet, "but I'm not sure I can do it. I might get dizzy up there if I look down." "Don't look down," said the father. "Look straight ahead, and don't lose your nerve. Besides, swans do not get dizzy. They feel wonderful in the air. They feel exalted." "What does exalted mean?" asked the cygnet. "Oh, it means you will feel strong and glad and firm and high and proud, successful, satisfied, powerful, and elevated, as though you had conquered life and had a high purpose." Lewis listened to all this with great attention. The idea of flying frightened him. "I won't be able to say caw-caw," he thought. "I wonder whether a swan can fly if he has no voice and can't say cuckoo? I think, said the cob, the best plan is for me to demonstrate how to fly to you. Pay attention. I'll make a short exhibition flight while you watch. Observe everything I do. Watch me pump my neck up and down before takeoff. Watch me test the wind by turning my head this way and that way. And the takeoff must be into the wind. It's much easier that way. Listen to the noise I make trumpeting. Watch how I raise my great wings. See how I beat them furiously as I rush through the water with my feet going like mad. This frenzy will last for a couple hundred feet, at which point I'll suddenly be in the air. My wings still chopping with terrific force, but my feet no longer touching the water. Then watch what I do. Watch how I stretch out my long, white, elegant neck in front of me until it has reached its full length. Watch how I retract my feet and put them behind me until they extend way past my tail. Hear my cries as I gain the upper air and start trumpeting. See how strong and steady my wing beat has become? And then watch me bank and turn and set my wings and glide down. And just as I reach the pond again, watch how I shoot my feet out in front of me and use them for the splashdown, like they were a pair of water skis. You must have seen this a lot of times, watching the swans landing on your lake, huh? Having watched all this, then you can join me and your mother, and we'll all make a practice flight together until you get the hang of it. Then tomorrow we'll do it again, and instead of returning to the pond, we will head south to Montana. Are you ready for your exhibition flight? Ready, cried all the cygnets except Lewis. Very well, here I go, said the cob. And there's the cob. He's looking to get going. Look, his feet on the water. Whoa. As the others watched, he swam downwind to the end of the pond, turned around, tested the wind, pumped his neck up and down, trumpeted, and after a rush of 200 feet, he got in the air and began gaining altitude, his long white neck stretched out ahead and his big black feet behind him. His wings had great power. The beat slowed as he settled into sustained flight way up high. All eyes watched. Lewis was more excited than he had ever been. I wonder if I really can do it, he thought. Suppose I fail. Then the others will fly away, and I'll be left here all alone on this deserted pond in the winter with no father, no mother, no sisters, no brothers, no food. When the pond freezes over, I'll starve. I'm scared. In a few minutes, the cob glided down out of the sky and skidded to a stop on the pond. They all cheered, "Cuckoo, cuckoo, beep, 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 beep." All but Lewis. He had to express his approval by simply beating his wings and splashing water towards his father. All right, said the cob, you've seen how it's done. Now follow me and we'll all give it a try. Extend yourselves to the utmost, do everything in the proper order, and never forget for a minute that you're swans and therefore you're excellent flyers. I'm sure you will all be well. Well, they all swam and paddled down to the end of the pond, turned around, pumped their necks up and down, and Lewis pumped his harder than any of the others. They tested the wind by turning their heads this way and that way, and then suddenly the cob signaled for them to start. And what a tremendous commotion. Wings beating, feet racing, water churned up, splashing everywhere. And soon, wonder of wonders, there were 7 swans in the air. 2 pure white ones, the mommy and the daddy, and 5 dirty gray ones, the cygnets. The takeoff was accomplished, and they started gaining altitude. Look at that. How many can we count there? If I can hold the book still enough, we could probably count. 5. Lewis was the first of the young cygnets to become airborne, way ahead of his brothers and sisters. And the minute his feet lifted clear of the water, he knew he could fly. It was a tremendous relief, as well as a splendid sensation. Boy, he said to himself, I never knew flying could be such fun. This is great. This is sensational. I feel superb. I feel exalted, and I'm not dizzy. I'll be able to get to Montana with the rest of the family. I may be different than all the rest of them, because I can't speak, but boy, I can fly. The 7 birds stayed in the air about a half an hour, and then returned to the pond. The cob was still in the lead. They all splashed down, drank some water, and went to bed. They were tired. The next day they were up early. It was a beautiful fall morning with mist rising from the pond and trees shining all their colors. Toward the end of the afternoon, as the sun sank down below the trees, the swans arranged themselves again and took off from the pond and began their journey to Montana. This way, said the cob, and he swung left and straightened out on a southerly course, and the others followed, trumpeting as they went. As they passed over the campsite where Sam Beaver and his dad was, Sam heard them and he ran out. He stood watching the sky as the 7 of them grew smaller and smaller in the distance and finally disappeared over the trees. What was it? Asked his father when Sam returned inside the tent. Swans, replied Sam. They're headed south. We better do the same, said Mr. Beaver. I think Shorty will be here with the airplane tomorrow to take us out. Mr. Beaver laid down on his bunk. What kind of swans were they? Trumpeters, said Sam. That's funny, said Mr. Beaver. I thought trumpeter swans had quit migrating. I thought they spent the whole year on the Red Rocks lakes. Well, most of them do, said Sam, but not all of them. It was bedtime. Sam laid down on his bunk and got out his diary to write. This is what he wrote. I heard the swans tonight. They're headed south. It must be wonderful to fly at night. I wonder whether I'll ever see one of them again. How does a bird know how to get from where he is to where he wants to be? And that's the end of that chapter.